2NURFM 103.7. Our final look at science and technology for 2021. Of course, we've been doing that for, how many years, John? Do we know?
I'm off track.
Off track. I'd like to say 3, but it's probably been a bit more than 3.
Well, yeah, I think it's probably
10?
more like 15, really?
Oh,
something like that, yeah.
There he is, our Professor of Science from the University of Newcastle, John O'Connor. And, John, today we'll step into the world of copper, which we know can actually kill off bacteria, but the boffins have been able to work something out with it today.
Yes, it's already known that copper can kill bacteria. What happens is individual copper ions come away from the surface and they get into the bacteria and just basically tear it apart. And even with something really bad like golden staph, golden staph is a really serious bacterium, just standard copper will kill 97% of it in 4 hours. Now, that sounds pretty good, but a group at...
it's always that 4%. It's like
you worry about that group because they're really tough. Yeah. They're the tough ones. Yeah. Actually, a group at RMIT and CSIRO have actually come up with an enhancement. So with this, and I should say the beauty about copper is that copper is not particularly toxic to people, but really toxic to bacteria. And, a lot of other things.
Handy.
Yeah, a lot of other things don't always work that way. But they've found a way of micro-texturing the surface. It's like... putting a maze in the surface or making the surface a bit sponge-like, and that way it does a couple of things. First off, it increases the surface area, so more of these copper ions come out. Secondly, the surface is one where the bacteria want to stick to it, so they actually stick into these little furrows, which impedes their chance to split and develop and grow. And the third one is that copper really is good at a third process, and that is releasing some really active oxygen, which tears these things apart as well. And this combination of creating this microstructured surface has increased dramatically its effectiveness. So these surfaces can kill 99.99% in just 2 minutes.
Well, that's an improvement.
It's huge, and this thing is scalable, so it's not just something that's done on a small cell. It's actually is a large scale. But you think about it: if an infection stays on a door handle or something for 4 hours, the number of people who would touch that, a bit questionable. Yeah, a bit worried. If it's only 2 minutes, it really is very effective. But what you're going to say is, yeah, do you get steak knives with this? Is there more?
Always more.
And the answer is, that's all right for bacteria, but we're worried about a virus. And viruses are different to bacteria. They don't have the same cell membrane. But already the standard copper surface has shown promising signs of being reasonably effective against COVID. So this particular process, which means that it releases many more copper ions, has promised that it also be just similarly effective against COVID as it is against golden staph and lots of other bacteria.
Still, again, even at a base point, 97%. That's if I'd have got 97% in every test I ever did, imagine where we'd all be. But to increase
you'd be a rocket scientist, wouldn't
exactly.
you?
But to increase that to 99.99, probably with a repeater on top, and to really shorten it up too. 2 minutes. Yeah. That's good.
It's interesting. There are a number of surfaces people are studying, and silver is another interesting, and so is gold. Both of those have antibacterial properties, but silver is nowhere near as good as copper. So if you're going out buying yourself a dinner service, I'd go for the copper surface rather than the silver. Gold is moderately helpful in various situations, but certainly copper seems to be streaking miles ahead in terms of its ability to kill bacteria. And it does it by actually getting into the membrane. It's a bit like COVID does to us. It goes through our cell membrane, bang, that's what the spike protein does. But what copper does the same thing to bacteria. It gets into the cell membrane, breaks it up, and this, the bacteria just sort of bursts apart.
Joe, there'll be quite a few people creeping around old housing sites that are half demolished. Really happy to hear that the copper they're stripping might be of some use.
Just don't want anyone pulling it out of the connection to my NBN.
No, absolutely not. All right, mate, a nice way to end today. And, of course, 2021, as always, thank you for your insights this year. Appreciate that.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk to so many people.
And, there's only 2 of us in the room, mate.
I'm in the audience. Come on.
The greater audience.
The people at the other end of the radio waves.
All right, mate, we'll look forward to hearing what you have for us in 2022, and have a great Christmas.
Thank you very much, Mark. And Merry Christmas to everyone else.
There he is, our Professor of Science from the University of Newcastle, John O'Connor, at 2NURFM 103.7.
A broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.